Let's move on to this next one. So we got Kansas at number 6 BYU. BYU a 3-point favorite. I think this one opened somewhere in the range of like 8 points, and now it's at 3 over under 55.5. Yes, and so part of it is because of this Kansas thing where they had the win last week that nobody anticipated, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think if they win out, they can make a bowl game, and it would be the third consecutive bowl game they would make, the first time in school history if they did that. So there's a little bit on the line here for Kansas. But this is about BYU and the fact that they are number 6. They are only favored by 3 points. This is a Kansas team that is not a very good football team. Do they continue the luck? Is this a game where they just go and do what they've been doing all year?
Yeah, I think that is the question. I mean, I would say like Kansas is coming off their best game of the season. Like we finally saw like Jalen Daniels do Jalen Daniels things. Like we've expected that from them. But you're right. They don't have that much to play for. Like where we started the season by saying like basically this whole league feels wide open. Anyone could win a Big 12. They're not going to win the Big 12. But you get to be spoilers. And like you said, the bowl streak, there are things to play for here. And we saw a complete game from them. This is what's really fascinating about BYU. I got real sour on them watching that Utah game because they didn't deserve to win it, right? Like they did not play well. If Utah had scored a couple of points,
I know,
8 points in the second half.
But that's where I'm like, did they deserve to win it though? Because they shut out Utah in the second half. I struggle with this team so much.
And then,
it's kind of the point, though, right?
Utah did allow that big play to set up the game-winning field goal too. Like it's hard.
It's so frustrating.
Right, how much credit do you give versus like they could be the luckiest team in the country because of the way that some of these games ended? Man, it's so hard. It's so hard to go. Like I love the BYU story. I think Kalani Sitake is one of the most underrated coaches in the country.
I agree with that.
I just don't know if that team played anyone in the top 5, including Indiana. I don't think they win the game.
No.
So it's hard. It's hard because again, body of work. And then also like the committee readjusting how they felt about them because they did ding them too much last week. How do we feel about the Big 12? It's not as, the top end is nowhere near like the other conferences. So what does it mean to be at the top of the league? I just got a lot of questions. So I think we'll learn about them down the stretch here. But I guess I'm not surprised that the line changed so much. I'm surprised it opened where it did. I am going to say that I think BYU wins and covers the 3 points, but I don't feel great about this team as one that I think like would win a game or multiple games when we get to the postseason.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think they will win. They need to cover. I think they will, but they need to just to kind of
make a
for
point.
Confidence sake and for narratives. I was talking to somebody who covers this sport, and they got one of those hypothetical lines from Vegas about a potential Big 12 championship matchup between BYU and Colorado. And as it stands today, Colorado would be a 4-point favorite in that game. So right. That is, and what's Colorado like 17? I can't remember. We don't have them pulled up right now, but like that's kind of where I feel like this team lives in the grand scheme of the sport right now, just from watching the way that they've kind of like eked out games, and in particular against some teams that have not been very good this year. So all that to say, they're going to win this football game. I'm pretty confident about that, but I'm just curious what the outcome actually looks like when we're talking about it next week.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's totally fair. And I think that we have made some picks on this pod that are basically like they have to win. Mm-hmm. And this feels like it. Feels like it's a must win. I know, which is weird to say. Like it's not like in the usual examples
undefeated
of a
number 6 team in the country. It's a must win.
Yeah, but I agree. It's like you can't lose to Kansas. You're trying to get us all to take you very seriously. You're trying to stay in the race like as an at-large team. If you lose, you can't lose this game.
Yep.